Why do you think you deserve a king when you're not a queen? So interesting. I've run into this phenomenon quite a bit in America, even in Asia when I lived over there. It's this phenomenon of women essentially believing they deserve something better than what they are because they erroneously believe that what they bring to the table is enough. I find it very interesting that women, by and large, fall for the whole equality crap, while at the same time thinking that the things that a man likes in a woman, virtue, it's very interesting. And a woman says that she wants a good man, and she's not a good woman, but she thinks she's going to get a good man. It's so interesting to me because they don't seem to understand that when it comes to virtue, there is and should be equality. There should be parity. Men want the same virtues in a woman that the man has. Okay? We're going to look for something that is like us. Like attracts like, you understand? So if I have virtues like honesty and loyalty and I'm an honorable person, well, that's what I'm going to look for in a woman. Okay? That's what I'm going to look for in a woman. They don't get it. They get the equality thing completely and totally wrong on all levels. And they don't realize it. Yeah. Of course, that's the whole point, right? If feminism got that right, men and women would get together for the right reasons, and then they would be happy and form stable, loving relationships. That's the exact opposite of what feminism is all about. So let's see what this article has to say. But before I do, I'd like to ask those of you out there that like and appreciate the raw, red-pilled nature of my content to please consider going and checking out my website, therealistphilosopher.com. That is therealistphilosopher.com. Lots of useful, interesting information you can check out there. You'll find all my social media links, as well as a link to my BitChute, bitchute.com/therealistphilosopher. And if you really like and appreciate the raw, red-pilled nature of what I do, you might want to consider making a donation by clicking on the donate button in the upper right-hand corner. You can donate Bitcoin, you can donate via my Cash App, or you can donate to my Patreon, which is a per-piece subscription-style platform. I make about 8 pieces a month. You donate $1, it's $8 a month, 50 cents, $4 a month. Whatever you want to donate, it's entirely up to you. Any amount is greatly appreciated. So go check that out, therealistphilosopher.com. Okay, so this article, written by somebody named Gina Florio, a woman, interesting, says, why do you think you deserve a king when you're not a queen? Because women are entitled. Okay, they're spoiled growing up. They never suffer any consequences to their actions. They're raised getting fucking achievement trophies for doing nothing, just for being there. So, yeah, they think they're entitled to reward. And since they never have to suffer any consequences for their actions, they think far more highly of themselves than they actually should. So it begins by saying, I'll never forget the image of her tongue sticking out of the side of her mouth. She was clad in a nude lingerie set, and she proceeded to hump and gyrate against a large foam hand while she licked her bright red lips. Ugh. The sight of Miley Cyrus on stage with Robin Thicke at the 2013 VMAs is a moment that has been burned into our brains forever. Yeah, I remember that. It was pretty hideous to watch. It was a culturally explosive performance right before our eyes. We had the culmination of many years of over-sexualizing women in public spaces. Isn't it interesting that on one hand women say, don't objectify me, while on the other hand they do and say and act in ways that are all objectifying themselves? I find that interesting. And of course, the lack of self-awareness to not see that is also very interesting. Only this time, we weren't even pretending like this was taboo anymore, because it wasn't. And it was all being done in the most outrageous, exaggerated fashion, of course. How else are you going to change the normal into the new normal? You got to be exaggerated and over the top. Nothing was too raunchy. Nothing was off limits. Miley Cyrus bent over on stage and twerked herself into Robin Thicke's crotch. She rubbed his private parts. Disgusting display if I ever saw one. We were instructed to fall in line and support this so-called liberation of young women. Again. So the very thing that is supposed to be shackling them is what they use to proclaim their empowerment. It's bad if you do it to me. It's okay if I do it to myself. which encourages you to do it to me. Interesting message you're sending, ladies. Anyone who dared to utter a concern about this wildly sexual, disturbingly explicit duet was an old-fashioned sexist. Yeah, you boomer! Shut up, boomer! Who wanted to hold women back from freeing their sexuality. Yeah, because it's so important that you objectify yourselves, ladies, while at the same time you tell us not to objectify you. Fast forward several years, and now we have something even more vulgar. WAP by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. Yeah. Disgusting. Have you seen that WAP video? I watched it recently. It was disgusting. This big giant mansion full of water, which is supposedly coming out of her pussy. Oh my God. So many of us can't help but ask, what happened to our culture? Well, the Marxists got a hold of it, and with their moral relativism are slowly but surely dismantling it. Hell, they've succeeded. Actually, America has the highest rate of single motherhood on the fucking planet. Well done, Marxists. Well done. So many of us can't help but ask, what happened? What happened to the value and general respect of women? Well, it's pretty hard to respect somebody that doesn't respect themselves. I find it interesting. First of all, respect is earned. It's not given. This is another problem with modern day women. Their entitlement is of such a level that they believe that they deserve respect automatically just for existing. Of course, the equality that they lecture people about should also mean that men also deserve respect without earning it. No! Men deserve no respect. In fact, they deserve to be treated disrespectfully because of how they've acted so horribly over thousands of years with their toxic masculinity oppressing women. They don't deserve respect. I see. But aren't you women now becoming like men and actively taking on the male traits that you claim are so toxic? No! Yes, but, well, okay, yeah. But that's just to fight the patriarchy, right? You fight fire with fire, right? Well, isn't that just saying that two wrongs make a right? Absolutely! Wait, what? There's no consistency or logic or reason within the left stances. It's all self-contradictory nonsense. So there's two damaging cultural narratives at play. So she continues by saying, as I scratch my head and ponder these questions, I simultaneously witness everywhere, from friends and family, in TVs and movies, throughout American culture, the loud cry that it's simply impossible to find good men to marry. Aha. Yeah, you know why you can't find them? Because you're not good. You're not good. You're not going to find a good man if you're a horrible woman. By and large, men are not attracted to bad, horrible women, and we recognize them pretty quickly, and we run from them. And of course, there's a lot of good men out there, by the way, that are totally, completely invisible to women, and we know why. They're too short, too fat, no six-pack, doesn't make enough money, doesn't drive a nice enough car, doesn't spend enough money on me. Right, so you're a horrible human being who is only concerned about the surface, facile, materialistic aspects of life, and yet you expect yourself to find a good man. Of course, a lot of women, what they quantify as a good man, by the way, is a guy that makes a lot of money, has a six-pack, a 6-inch or bigger cock, is over 6 feet tall, so... That's a problem when what you quantify as good is just shallow vanity. Well, you know, no surprise you can't find what you're looking for, especially since these women, the majority of them that hold these views, are rabid feminazi cunts, and of course they're single. And they're getting older, and now they can't get those guys that they quantify as good men. And then these are the same women that say, there's no good men out there anymore. Well, even the men that you quantify as good exist, but now they won't date you because you're too old, you're too fat, you're too wrinkly, and they have enough money, and they've got all those, the sixes, the six-pack, and the 6 feet, and the 6-inch cock, and the 6-figure income that they can get a 20-year-old. So, I guess practically speaking, they don't exist for you. And of course, they don't even see the actually good guys. Yeah. So while they don't exist to you, they do actually exist, ladies. Anyway, she continues by saying, women complain on Twitter, on reality shows, and at dinner parties about how difficult it is to lock down a guy. Yeah, meaning get him to commit any way possible, including, sperm jacket if possible, who is worthy of their time. Yeah, there's that overinflated sense of self, that overinflated sense of ego. There's that entitlement again, right? These girls that were raised since birth to be taught about how perfect they are. You might want to check that video out on my BitChute channel as well. I made a video about how girls are being taught to think they're perfect. And then they grow up with this idea of an unblemished self. Like they are the height of perfection. They're so wonderful. They're so great, which if you have this view of yourself, then you're going to have unrealistic expectations because you have an unrealistic self-image. And you're going to use that self-image as a guide post, a map, as it were, to finding your perfect man. Who's going to be on your level, which isn't realistic and doesn't exist. I have an unrealistic self-image. Now I'm going to use that self-image as a way to decide what the perfect man is for me, and hence my criteria are also unrealistic. Jeez, and women wonder why they can't find men. Because the men they want don't exist because they don't exist in the way that they view themselves, which is oftentimes perfect, faultless. Usually these conversations or stories consist of women complaining that a man is untrustworthy, unreliable, immature, unable to meet her needs, etc. Interesting. Untrustworthy, unreliable, immature. I've heard these words before and directed at women. Of course, that's just a bunch of projection, right? Yeah. Did you ladies ever stop and think that the reason that you're finding these things is because that's how you are? No, I'm perfect. Yeah, of course. He can't commit. He can't get his act together. He can't get along with her friends. Yeah. If you know anything about women, their friends are generally speaking more important than you'll ever be to her. So if it came to giving up her friends or you, she'll give up you. He can't meet her emotional needs. Whatever the fuck that means. No matter what the details might be, the message is simple. And it's that men suck. Yeah, we're so horrible. If we're so bad, why do you ladies want us? Boy, oh boy. The message is simple. Men suck and women are simply better than men are. Yeah, that's pretty much the message, isn't it? Like I said, women have been raised with this I can do nothing wrong, I'm perfect mentality, which leads to this level of entitlement. This narrative is now coming from even the most unexpected of places. Conservative political commentator and Fox News host Tomi Lahren. Yeah, recently joined in on the tirade against men. By the way, she dumped what would literally be, most women would think is the perfect guy. I don't know about the 6-inch cock, but he was over 6 feet tall, had the six-pack. On paper, at least, had a six-figure income. Bought her an engagement ring that was worth between $15,000 and $50,000. Probably pretty paltry for her. I'm sure she wasn't too happy about that. And she dumped him because she was being courted by some country music singer, I think. I'm not sure who it was, some famous guy, and then he dumped her. I dumped the perfect man to get with a famous singer, and that famous singer dumped me for a younger broad, and now I'm bitter and angry. It's men's fault. Okay. I think they're all trash all over this country, said Tomi Lahren. A lot of men don't know how to treat women, says the woman who dumped her longtime fiancé and perfect man by the shallow and vain standards of modern women. Anyway, yeah, okay. Okay, sweetheart. Add on top of that the narrative that has been on the steep rise in our culture, that women are simply better than men. But ladies, you said that men and women are equal, so women can't be better than men. And you women, more often than not, in an escalating manner, are taking on ever more male traits, the same traits that you have branded as toxic and evil. How can you be better than us when you're trying to be us? If we're so horrible, why are you trying to become us? So anyway, yeah. In just about every category, the narrative is that women are better than men. Hillary Clinton said women are better suited to run countries, which is total nonsense. There's been a historical study of wars, and it's found that when women run countries, you have an 18% higher likelihood of violence in war. So that's a lie. Because they are inclusive and empathetic. Yeah, Hillary Clinton ain't too bright, okay? Oh, it's total nonsense. That's her gender studies course is talking, okay? Even former President Barack Obama, homo, with his tranny wife, allegedly tranny wife, said that women are just better leaders than men are. Hey, he's just pandering to the feminists because he wanted to get votes and be popular. So, women are responsible for the state of our culture, too. It's insane enough that we're pretending like women are guiltless. Well, when they make up the majority of the population and they have voting power, the politicians have figured out that if you pander to them and give them free shit, they'll vote for you en masse, collectively. That's the message you're going to spread. It's called pandering for a reason. It's insane enough that we're pretending like women are guiltless, blameless angels who should be worshipped on a lily pad every day. But that's what we're doing. But what's even worse than this false narrative is the fact that women are arguably contributing to the downfall of our culture more than the men are. Yeah, that's the point. That's why they've been made into useful idiots by the left, by academia, by media, by even the government. Because the whole point is to deconstruct America and turn it into a Marxist, socialist utopia of equality, even though no such place has ever existed, only in the dreams, the minds of leftists. Women generally make up the most vulgar, most risque content we see in the media today. Isn't that true? Who are the people you see on Instagram, right? Taking off their clothes, showing off as much skin as humanly possible, trying to get attention via their sexuality. Women. Who are the ones that are constantly putting themselves on display for cashola? Women. They strip their clothes off at the drop of a hat, dance and writhe on the floor in little to nothing, and then turn around and demand that they be treated like queens. Well, OnlyFans is the perfect example. How many dudes are on OnlyFans writhing around near naked making any money? None. You'd have to be the perfect male specimen. And even if you were, at the right age, the perfect male specimen, the perfect body, and every woman wanted you, you'd have a hard time making a living on OnlyFans, okay? Meanwhile, these women, a lot of mediocre-looking broads are making good money on there, writhing around and objectifying themselves, even though objectification is bad. Yeah. So these are the same people that writhe around on the floor in little to nothing and then turn around and demand that they be treated like queens. I'm sick of pretending like this is perfectly okay. Yeah, of course, an actual queen in real life could be a despot, an evil cunt. Like Bloody Mary and all that, and, kill people en masse for their religious beliefs. Yeah. By the way, any woman that calls herself a queen, you don't want to date. I'm going to use this term, queen. But I find it amazing, I find it interesting, I find it funny that women call themselves queens and they're the most debauched, base creatures on the planet. Why would you ever think you deserve a king when you act like a classless, crass, and trashy woman who has no value for her own sexuality? This is interesting. That's very interesting. A lot of what matters to a man is a woman's sexual marketplace value. That's just a biological fact. Biological facts, which, by the way, feminists pretend don't exist, because that's part of the ideology, because not recognizing these biological facts stirs up bitterness and anger and resentment toward the man of the species. Yeah. Oh, he's so horrible and evil, choosing to only care about my body. Meanwhile, you want a guy with a six-pack. Isn't it interesting, by the way, that this whole body positivity movement doesn't go both ways? You don't hear women running around saying, I wants me a fat man because I don't give a fuck about how a man looks. No, they're running around saying you should accept me for my fat self, but I'm not going to accept you for your fat self. Have you seen those pictures, by the way? Haven't you seen them with the big fatty and the hot-looking guy with the six-pack? Like, that's actually realistic. Well, that's not going to happen, ladies, unless you're dating some kind of mimbo loser who actually cares about how much money you make because he's more like a woman than a man and he's a loser and he likes to spend his days fucking surfing and he likes to spend, the rest of his time couch surfing as he watches reruns of Judge Judy. He's not going to care about how much money you make. So, and then not care about how you look. So that's not reality, ladies, okay? It's so interesting how it doesn't go both ways, though, with these women. They preach about equality, but they only want it to go one way. So she goes on to say, I realize this sounds harsh, and I'm well accustomed to replies such as, you're slut-shaming. Oh, jeez, yeah, okay. But there's a big difference between shaming someone and speaking the difficult truth that few people want to hear. Yeah. The hard truth is that only good women attract good men. The difficult truth is, if we want to attract a worthy man who is smart, kind, successful, wonderful, a wonderful future father, then we have to be the woman of his dreams. Okay, so there's a mistake she's making here. She's mistaking what women say about wanting a good man. She's conflating that with what she views as a good man, is what is objectively a good man. The majority of women think a good man is this: makes six figures, has a 6-inch or bigger, longer cock, okay, is 6 feet or taller, has a 6-figure income, and preferably drives a car that costs 6 figures or more. That's what a woman thinks is a good man. That's what the majority, 80% of women these days who are chasing the top 20% of men, believe is a good man. So she's making a mistake right here in thinking that the majority of women, when they say I can't find a good man, are thinking of the same type of man that she is. No matter how much you try to deny it, that dream woman is not someone who dresses promiscuously, flirts with other men, talks freely about explicit sexual acts, and exploits herself on the internet for attention or money. Yeah, the truth of the matter is that we're not looking for that. I mean, we'll bang that. We'll bang that all day long, baby. But we won't marry that. We won't give it that long term. Oh, she also doesn't condone and celebrate that kind of behavior either. Well, that pretty much takes about 80 to 90% of your modern women off the table in regards to being good women that we want long term. The obsession with political correctness has prevented us from being able to acknowledge that sexual purity or modesty is in fact a desirable trait in women. Only for marriage. We want to bang sluts. A worthy woman is private about her sexuality and shares it only with her boyfriend or husband, preferably husband. It's time that we put to rest the myth that sexual promiscuity will set us free. This is a myth, by the way. This is a long-held myth. This idea, even this idea of men being these whores and dogs throughout human history, is a lie. It's not true. By and large, the majority of men, when they pair bonded with their wife, they stayed with that woman. Yes, some men did run around, did bang other broads, did bang other dudes' broads, other dudes' wives, other dudes' mates, but they weren't the majority. And especially in modern history, within the past 2,000 years of Christianity and marriage and the vows that we take, that wasn't the majority of men. That is just a gross caricature that mainstream, zealot, radical feminazis have dreamed up to justify them doing that themselves. There's nothing about sleeping with multiple men that will ever make you feel more cherished, accomplished, or loved. And I would say the same to men, by the way. It's not going to really give you much meaning in your life. Trust me, I know. But do what you want. Do what you want. Anyway, a worthy woman is private about her sexuality, yes. So if we're really searching for good men to spend the rest of our lives with, we will reject the cultural narrative that sexually free women are liberated women. Right. Anyhow, so if you're really searching for a good man to spend the rest of your life with, we need to reject the cultural narrative that sexually free women are liberated women. Before we put all the blame on men and point our fingers at them, we need to be sure that we're doing everything we can to improve ourselves. I would say the same to men, by the way. So before we put all the blame on men and point our fingers at them, we need to be sure that we're doing everything we can to improve ourselves. And I say the same to you guys. Spend your time improving yourselves. Chasing tail is ultimately, it can be motivating to a certain point when you're young, but I don't find it to be particularly conducive to well-being or happiness. At the same time, we can't be afraid to speak up against celebrated moments like Miley Cyrus's VMA performance in Cardi B's latest music video. These are the very displays of women that are harmful and derogatory, and they teach young girls that selling their bodies for everyone to see is a noble thing to do. Yeah, that sends a bad message, but it's a good message for the left, because their whole goal is to undermine and destroy the modern traditional Western family, which has been the hallmark of Western civilization for thousands of years. When that's your goal, it's good. Closing thoughts. Today, personal responsibility is a radical idea, certainly for women. Now, men, of course, we're held responsible. We're held motherfucking responsible for our actions. We cannot escape the consequences of said actions, okay? Guy knocks up some broad, she decides to have that baby, you're fucked. You can't escape. They'll find you if you move to Timbuktu and garnish your fucking paychecks, okay? Now her, she get an abortion. She can kill her baby. No consequences. No consequences. No problem. She marries you, doesn't like you, marries you for the wrong reasons, or just decides at some point that she's bored, she's tired, she's not fulfilled. Leave you, get alimony, get child support, you end up living in a shoebox. Or in a homeless shelter, or more likely a box in an alley before you drink yourself to death, while you drink yourself to death. Meanwhile, she's well taken care of by the state, getting her $75,000 plus a year worth of benefits. There's no consequences for women anymore. So, yeah, the idea of personal responsibility, at least for women, is indeed a radical idea these days. But what if we took full responsibility for our lives? Good luck getting women to do that. What if you change your lifestyle habits? No more partying, no more drinking, no more sleeping around. I'm assuming she's talking to women at this point. No more overeating. Are you kidding me? Oh, there's a reason why the whole body positivity shit is being pushed, because the leftist elites who craft these narratives know that these very narratives are destructive to male-female dynamics, the actual formation of a relationship. They know that men don't like fat women. They know there's a biological basis, while at the same time they're telling you that there isn't. That men are just shallow. They're so shallow, they just care about looks. Like it's a choice or something. That's why they spread all these ideas about how gender stereotypes and the way men act and women act are not based in biology, but they're all just social constructs. That's why they push that stuff. It's a social construct. It's taught behavior. It has no basis in biology. So men are bad, men are evil, men are cruel in making these choices about which women they like and which women they don't like. Meanwhile, how many women that are good looking are running around with a fat dude? How many good looking broads are running around with a big fat guy? I mean, unless he's got money. And by the way, how many women are running around with loser, poor, fat dudes? Like men are encouraged to do. Any? No. Because women are biologically keyed to want a man with resources and who's good looking. Oh, yeah. So it doesn't go both ways. Their equality does not go both ways. Their equal treatment doesn't go both ways. Anyway, what if there was no more drama, ladies? If you put the time and effort into being the dream woman, you would have a much easier time finding a man who can meet you where you're at and fulfill your needs. The end. Well, again, this woman is assuming that when women say they want a good man, that they want the kind of man that she considers is a good man, what is actually objectively a good man, and isn't the feminist narrative's idea of a good man. No, most women are chasing after the feminist narrative idea of a good man, this Ubermensch, this man that is perfection, like they believe they are. I still firmly hold that the reason women have such unrealistic expectations of men is because they have an unrealistic view of themselves and they're looking for parity in a partner, parity that they have formed, this idea of parity that is formed from an unrealistic self-image, meaning their view of themselves as being perfect and faultless and therefore deserving of the same. Anyway, let me know what you think of this article in the comment section at bitchute.com/The Realist Philosopher. And please like and subscribe to my BitChute if you have not already. And if you really like and appreciate the raw red-pilled nature of my content, again, please consider making a donation by going to TheRealistPhilosopher.com. That is TheRealistPhilosopher.com. Could really use your help.